Let's shift it over to running back. So fantasy football running backs that you can pick up if you're still in a league that has week 17, once again, like a week 17 championship week. They'll give you some value this week. But obviously we're looking, kind of like 10-ish, 10-ish team, keeper leagues, league-wide, waiver wires have been picked pretty thin. There are a couple guys, though, that you should be picking up and looking towards the future, depending on free agency. I'll give you my thoughts. Why don't you lead in with the first one? It's probably the same one I have on my list, too, the number one guy.
If we're going based off last night's results, there's one clear and obvious guy, and that's AJ Dillon, who's still available widely in a lot of shallower dynasty leagues and keeper leagues. And hopefully you picked him up before this last game, knowing Jamal Williams was out. But he showed more than enough in terms of even if he does nothing in the pass game, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. So if Jamal Williams moves on, he's the number 2. If Aaron Jones moves on, I mean, you've heard this, guys. I mean, A.J. Dillon, there's a lot of hype early in this offseason about A.J. Dillon that he could potentially eat into the workload this year. So if Aaron Jones moves on, he's going to absolutely skyrocket up the fantasy boards.
You know what I've noticed? So I have Aaron Jones, and he really, honestly, he cost me the semifinals, his usage. And look, Aaron Jones is a free agent. I looked into the cap last night. The Green Bay Packers are in the bottom third of the league in cap room going into next year. So I think they're at, if memory serves, they're at like around minus 20. Now, teams, they can restructure deals and all that stuff and find cap room. But long story short, they started splitting a lot more Aaron Jones. I know they're keeping him. Everybody says, they're keeping him fresh for the postseason, all that stuff. Jamal Williams.
They're going to retain Williams and let Jones go. Long story short.
Long story short, exactly. You're right. And, Jones will go somewhere.
He'll get paid. San Fran. Miami would be interesting. I don't think San Fran would do it. Miami would be fantastic. That would be great.
Yeah, I'm looking up at the teams. Philadelphia, depending on what happens. Not Philly, sorry.
They have Gaskin for cheap. I think they'd add a running back in the draft, then pay for one. I think they'd probably spend that money elsewhere.
It's kind of wild. Atlanta.
Somebody will pay Aaron Jones, though. There's no doubt about it. Somebody going to pay him.
Yeah, and I don't think it's Green Bay. So, A.J. Dillon, especially.
Buffalo, if Buffalo paid him, that would be a great fit.
That would be a great fit. So, I mean, Aaron Jones, his skill set, he fits in every offense. He fits in everywhere. If the Chiefs didn't have Edwards-Helaire, I would say, man, can you imagine?
I still wouldn't rule it out.
I know.
Wouldn't rule it out because they want to add playmakers to Patrick Mahomes, and especially if Aaron Jones is willing to take a friendly deal, which I'm not sure he will. But maybe you never know what these players' priorities are, and if he wants to play with Patrick Mahomes, oh my God.
And this isn't the offseason to be a free agent, and especially a free agent running back with this cap going down. It's going to be interesting. But anyway, I agree. I mean, that's always what I look to. I look to free agency, and I look to see, okay, well, where could an unheralded kind of backup go if he's an unrestricted free agent or, whatever the case is, or like what backups can ascend if that player leaves. So Jamal Williams, I'd also take a flyer on, but I do believe, I think it's AJ Dillon. If I think he will be the starter, clearly, if AJ Jones, not AJ Jones, I'm sorry, Aaron Jones moves on. Another player I would throw out there.
Before you go on to that, I want to hit on that because I really think Jamal Williams is going to be a massive value if Aaron Jones leaves, because you're going to see AJ Dillon's like ADP skyrocket. Nobody's going to really still care about Jamal Williams. He'll go up a little bit, but people are not going to give a guy who could see 50 receptions out of the backfield and close to 10 touchdowns like the respect he deserves. He's going to go still probably like 9th round, 8th, 9th, 10th round in redraft. So he's another great speculative add as well for deeper keeper leagues.
Yeah, believe me, if Jones moves on, the hype on A.J. Dillon will be so high that people will forget. And Jamal Williams will be drafted around the same time as Latavius Murray, who we were just talking about not too long ago. I mean, people will forget about him, but when A.J. Dillon takes over that role, Jamal Williams, I actually think his role will increase, especially in the receiving game there. So I agree. I think he's a stash. I'll throw another one out there. You probably missed the boat on him already. But, if your league kind of goes inactive, they might still be out there if your rosters aren't locked. Jeff Wilson, he's the starter next year. Raheem Mostert has absolutely shat to bed. I mean, the dude can't even finish a half. He absolutely killed me this season. There were 3 games that he just played the first half, and at least 3 games. Jeff Wilson's running away with his job. They don't like what they're getting from Coleman. They don't like what they're getting with McKinnon. The only threat would be if they draft somebody that they like a little bit more. And we were high, David, on JaMychal Hasty, and I do like JaMychal Hasty. I think Wilson's run away with it. What do you think?
Well, first off, Devin Coleman sucks. We don't need to ever say his name again. I
don't think we will.
You did. I don't know why I had to bring him up. I thought we were clear. I thought we were in agreement. Devin Coleman sucks and never needed to be mentioned again. But just, I guess, one more reminder for the viewers. He's awful. Look at his yards after contact per attempt the past 2 years. It's like 1.8, 1.4. It's like the league worst after. He just makes nothing happen after contact. It's awful. So anyways, I hate Devin Coleman. What were we talking about next?
Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson. Yes, I think he's going to be pretty widely owned. Absolutely. You got to stash him, but unfortunately, he's probably owned.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody missed the boat. He
was the clear pickup the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep, agreed. And I'll give you another one based on free agency, and I think what's going to end up happening, this is my prediction, I believe that the Ravens will part ways with Mark Ingram, and Gus Edwards will be the second back, and J.K. Dobbins is the lead back. But Gus Edwards can still be picked up, and I think he'll have value. Now, if something happens and Gus Edwards finds himself in a free agency type situation, he finds himself in a situation like Miami to be paired up with a Gaskin, or he finds himself in one of these other teams that kind of need. We'll see how free agency shakes out. There's a lot of talented guys out there. I do like Gus Edwards quite a bit. And I'll throw another one at your way just to kind of also comment on. Caitlyn Bellage, unrestricted free agent. Dude's big. He can catch. He's fast. And we've been talking about him for weeks as a nice stash. And actually a nice plug-in when Eckler was still out. So he's another guy that free agency, you just never know how these dominoes are going to fall.
Yeah, I do think Bellage still should stay on rosters, especially in deeper dynasty leagues too. Don't let him go just because the Chargers have produced 2 running backs like on a yearly basis, and it might be Bellage. Another guy, I only have three more names here. Running back, there's not a whole ton. Marlon Mack, who was when he tore the ACL early in the offseason. He might be hiding there because he's going to be way down the waivers because he hasn't scored any points. So you probably got to scroll all the way down.
Yeah.
Who knows where he ends up? Imagine him in San Fran or like a Buffalo. Maybe I don't know, the Jets. There's plenty of opportunities where he could be like the 1A. He's not going to have the whole backfield to himself. I don't think anywhere. It's tough to really claim a whole backfield at any point. You're just kind of hoping for someone to be in a good half of the committee, kind of like Gus Edwards. I don't know if his situation could be much better than he has it in Baltimore, but it could improve or at least stay the same. I like him as well. I think he's rostered in a good amount of leagues. Also, I think Darrell and Damian Williams deserve speculative ads as well, just because Bell, we've seen Le'Veon. He's done. He's washed. He's got nothing left to offer. Darrell Williams was out playing him and basically stole his job. They gave Bell like a half. Said, "Here's your chance, dude. Like, take it and run with it." And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna take it and dance with it in the back." So they put Darrell Williams in, and he runs hard. And if they don't bring in anyone and Bell goes, you're going to want that handcuff, that Kansas City handcuff. And Edwards-Helaire already got hurt this year, so he's not exactly like the most durable guy on the planet. I think Darrell deserves an ad. Damian Williams, if he comes back to this team, he's widely available right now, I'll tell you that. So it's all about targeting the offense here for me. I want anything and everything to do with Patrick Mahomes.
Let me give you a scenario. We'll have to do a segment after the season, before free agency, of like best fits. What I would be. We actually did that, I think, earlier this year in Buffalo, on like very, very early when we started working together. But
I don't know if any of them happened. I think I was left in disappointment at the end of those. And I'm like, oh, he didn't go there. He didn't go there. He didn't go there. Well, it would have been fun.
I'll give you one though. Caitlyn Bellage to Kansas City to complement with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. In division, teams like to scout in division.
I would like it. That would validate my Bellage hype because
he'd be inexpensive, so Kansas City could bring him in. He has a skill set that can pass and catch, and he could be a thumper in the goal line. He basically takes 3 of the players that Kansas City brought in this year and merges them into one. Edwards-Helaire could still be your between the 20s guy, certainly, and still be a goal line guy. But
and I do think Bellage is better than Darrell Williams. I like Darrell Williams, but I think Bellage is probably a tad better than him. He's certainly more physically gifted. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll do like the perfect fits thing later. Any more running backs before we move it on to wide receiver?
That's it for me.
Yeah. I don't have many at wide receiver, to be honest with you. So